The year 2000 was a historic year. A new century and a new millennium started, and in the years leading up to it, many people reevaluated their lives and began to think about how to make the year 2000 and beyond even better than it had been before. The government was no exception. Starting in 1989, the United States government began to evaluate the educational system and to think about what to do as the new millennium approached. The Bush administration convened an educational summit with experts in the field to talk about setting national educational goals. 5 years later, in 1994, President Clinton signed into law the Goals 2000, also called the Educate America Act, which gave the federal government a role in education for the first time. Until then, education had only been state and local based. But Goals 2000 outlined 8 federal goals for schools in America and offered federal money to schools who agreed to implement the goals. Let's look closer at the 8 goals of the Educate America Act and its impact on American education. As we mentioned, the Educate America Act offered 8 basic goals for schools to target in the 6 years leading up to the dawn of the new millennium. The goals said that by the year 2000, number 1, every child will start school ready to learn. Many students, especially those in lower-class neighborhoods, started kindergarten behind their peers. They did not have the foundation necessary to learn to read and write or do basic math. The Educate America Act opened the door for preschool programs for all children to prepare them for school. Number 2, high school graduation rate will be at least 90%. Throughout the later part of the 20th century, high school enrollment increased, but the graduation rate, that is, the percentage of students who actually graduated, decreased. The Educate America Act encouraged schools to do something to raise their graduation rates. Number 3, schools will help students learn to use their minds well. This goal was about preparing students to be good citizens, workers, and learners in the economy. In addition to the general goal of helping students learn to use their mind well, this goal also specifically required that students demonstrate competency at the end of grades 4, 8, and 12. This meant that many schools required that students take tests or put together portfolios in those years. Number 4, teachers will have professional development opportunities. In addition to setting goals about what students would do and receive, the Goals 2000 initiative also required that teachers have access to professional development to continue to improve their skills. Number 5, U.S. students will be first in the world in science and mathematics. When looking at world tests, the U.S. fell in science and math achievement in the second half of the 20th century. This goal was about regaining the lead in the world for STEM education, or education in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Number 6, every adult American will be literate. The goal of American education, according to the Act, was to help every adult in America develop the knowledge and skills necessary to be good citizens and to compete in a global economy. Literacy was key among those skills. Number 7, schools will provide an environment conducive to learning. This goal was about making sure that schools were free of drugs, violence, weapons, and other things that could make the school unsafe. Number 8, schools will partner with parents to provide for the whole child. Involving parents in their child's education was a goal in order to provide for not just the academic growth of children, but also their social and emotional needs. Essentially, this goal said that parental involvement was a key to a child's success. As we went through these goals, you might have been thinking, wait a minute, it's way past the year 2000, and some of these goals still haven't been met. Does that mean that the Educate America Act was a failure? Not at all. Though the Goals 2000 were not reached in every single school across the country, they still had a major impact on education in America. First of all, they were the first time that the federal government provided nationwide goals for education. This was a major moment in U.S. education. Because the federal government was breaking new ground and setting goals, another major effect of the Educate America Act was that it caused reforms at many levels of education throughout the United States. From single schoolhouses in small towns in the Midwest to large districts in major coastal cities, And even in state education departments across the country, new initiatives were put into place. Whether it was providing professional development to teachers or being more proactive about pairing with parents, schools changed thanks to Goals 2000. Finally, the Educate America Act opened the door for the more comprehensive and more controversial No Child Left Behind Act of 2001, which restricted federal funds to lower-income schools if they did not meet certain targets on standardized tests. This act, which became law 6 years after the Educate America Act, likely would not have been passed without Goals 2000 paving the way. The Educate America Act, or Goals 2000, was a federal law signed in 1994 that set nationwide educational goals to be met by the year 2000. The 8 goals set were: Number 1, every child will start school ready to learn. Number 2, high school graduation rate will be at least 90%. Number 3, schools will help students learn to use their minds well. Number 4, teachers will have professional development opportunities. Number 5, U.S. students will be first in the world in science and mathematics. Number 6, every adult American will be literate. Number 7, schools will provide an environment conducive to learning. And number 8, schools will partner with parents to provide for the whole child. The Educate America Act had a large impact on American education, as it was the first time the federal government had set goals for schools. It led to many reforms in schools and districts across the country and opened the door for the more comprehensive No Child Left Behind Act of 2001.